No regret fighting Oshiomohle for oppressing Obaseki, Edo Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu. I would answer in the affirmative, but I would say that politics was not my agenda at the time. My involvement in NANS was born out of my quest for a better Nigeria. I also hate oppression and I want the right things to be done at all times. From my Marxist perspective, I found that the only way was to join the civil rights group and make sure things were done correctly in Nigeria. We're seeking democracy and not the military dictatorship that we're having. For my level of knowledge derived from books I have read and the organization I belong to, like the Civil Liberation Organization, the only way was to join forces with other like minded groups and fight to actualize democratic governance under which everyone has the freedom to choose their leader. So for me, it was activism to student unionism that earned me the number one position in the student union movement in the country. I started my sojourn into NANS from the University of Jos, where I was a member of the parliament representing Abuja Hostel constituency. From there, I became the welfare secretary of the student union. While serving in the capacity, I was made the coordinator of the Abacha Must Go movement of Zone C of NANS in a convention that was held at Castina Al under the late Moses Osakede. That appointment brought me into prominence in student union politics. Zone C comprised schools in the Middle Belt, including the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and I was saddled with the responsibility of coordinating and mobilizing students and activists to say no to Abacha's regime. My activities earned me a lot of beatings and torture. I was declared wanted by the military junta, and when I was arrested, I was kept in the same detention camp at the Department of State Services headquarters in Jos with the General Oladipo Dia group, who was accused of plotting to topple the government of the late General Sani Abacha, his immediate boss. They tortured us in all ways one can imagine. While they went to the tribunal, we were left behind to face the next round of torture, and they were always asking who our sponsors were. They didn't believe we had none and that we were sponsored by our conscience. After much protest by the CLO led by the late Chief Gani Fayemi, we were released. The late chief was our permanent lawyer and was always there for us pro bono. Despite all this, I was not perturbed. 2 days after my release, I organized another rally against the junta at the Jos Township Stadium. I was rearrested and I spent a week at the police station. I later joined the 2 million man march against Abacha at Yaba in Lagos in response to Daniel Kanu's 1 million man march for Abacha in Abuja. Late Chief Faweyemi, myself, and many others were arrested and detained at Gashua prison in Yobe State. My putting on khaki most times was not because the former governor was doing the same thing. Wearing khaki was out of my conviction to be an activist. I started putting on khaki from secondary school through to university, even during one of my tribunal cases when the issue of my certificate was in question. One of the representatives of my secondary school, Saduna Memorial College, Kaduna, gave testimony in the court of how I led students against the school authority, which earned me a suspension. A teacher had injured one of the students while beating him, and I felt such that treatment was wrong, so I led a protest against the school. He attested to the fact that it was my activism that led to my suspension. My hatred for oppression led me into activism. Anytime I see anyone being oppressed, I take up the fight. I don't do that out of hatred for anyone, but out of my belief that I'm fighting a just cause. So my wearing of khaki is from my background in activism. In governance, I give it to Oshiomohle. He popularized the wearing of the khaki as a governor, but my putting on khaki clothes is not to emulate him. Most people in activism, like Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, are noted for wearing khaki. I never had a personal battle with Oshiomohle, but I don't intend to have one with him. We only had political differences and we both fought in opposing camps. We will all recall that Oshiomohle was oppressed when he was governor of Edo State, and I was one of those who fought for him. I was injured and had a kneecap replacement due to the injury I sustained. I still have scars on my body as a result of those fights. All those fights were to ensure he survived the 5 impeachments against him. In fact, the last one was very close. We fought to a level that we had to remove the roof of the State House of Assembly and relocate the parliament to the government house using the rule which gave us power as majority leader and the speaker to move the parliament to the government house. 9 of us perfected this move that saved him from being impeached. This is just my style, fighting against oppression. This time I fought him in favor of Governor Godwin Obaseki, whom Oshiomohle was oppressing. As I said, I hate oppression and I would still have fought on Governor Obaseki's side if I wasn't his deputy. More so, this man was being oppressed, was doing what we agreed. We started a vision in 2006 and the document drafted in the office of Obaseki in Lagos. When Oshiomohle became governor, he appointed Obaseki as the chairman of the economic team of the state so that he could help in the implementation of the ideas in the document, which rested solely on rescuing the state from infrastructural decay and repositioning the state, as well as the mindset of the people to good governance. After Oshomole finished his tenure, Obaseki took over, and as his deputy, I could see that he was following the plan and taking it to a higher level, which means that our agreement and vision are still intact, but taken to a digital level. So if the man is doing well, I see no reason why he should be oppressed and removed from power. So I joined in the fight and made it clear that I was for Governor Obaseki. I have no regret about making that decision. If it happens again, I will take the same decision because Edo State is in the news for the right reason. We are building infrastructure and we're now talking about policies and ways to institutionalize them so that things can work well. We are no longer concentrating on just building individual, but we are now strengthening our institution that will help everyone. Right now, I see peacefully. I sleep peacefully because I know that it is the right thing to do. So I thank God for giving me the wisdom to fight on the right side. Politically, for now, we are in different camps, but I don't have any personal problem with him. I did that many times. We had conversations about how well Governor Baseki was doing and the need to join hands instead of being in opposing camps. I remember we fixed meetings to resolve the issue and he did not show up. There was a meeting I had to rush down to while I was on vacation abroad. I was shocked to hear him take a contrary position to the one we took in the meeting. That for me was very disturbing. So it meant that my 17 hours flight to the country was a waste. I also knew that he had made up his mind on what to do and that we needed to take our destiny into our hands. However, some of the things he said at that time were things he was not known for. The comrade I know would not call anyone a mosquito, lizard, pig, like he called Suleiman Lukman, the director of the Progressive Governors Forum. He's not vulgar, and I was shocked by his turnaround, and I can't say what led to it. The fight is not personal, it is based on principle, and he knows that I'm a loyal person. I think God just led us throughout the tribulation. I won't tell you that we had plans to leave the APC. All we knew was that we were going to contest and win the election, but we didn't know on which platform. So when the issue of the certificate came up, we knew something was fishy. We were still hopeful because the APC governors and most ESCO members of the party at the national level were with us, but he decided to disqualify us. Unfortunately for us, we had options at that time, and God led us to PDP with the support of our members. What gave us edge was God. I'll continue to mention God because all of the plans we had worked out for us. Our people were tired of all the troubles before the election and they were resolute in their belief that we deserved the second term. So no matter what anybody was doing, our supporters were ready. They brought money, shared funds and clothes for votes, but people collected and voted their conscience and we won. That is why I said God did it for us. It was the grace of God all the way.